Welcome to a special D3Hockey.com podcast. I'm Dave McHugh, joined with Stevenson's women's ice hockey coach, Shera Vis. And Coach, for starters, congratulations on the head coaching job here at Stevenson, obviously in your first year.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. It's been a lot of learning experiences for me and the girls as well. And it's been challenging but very rewarding at the same time.
First year program certainly has its challenges. Not only are you scheduling and recruiting and trying to bring everybody in, there's all kinds of other things that haven't been dealt with a school, with any type of ice hockey program. What was the draw to bring you in, to come to this school and try and be your first coach here?
Yeah, I knew coming in that I wanted to be a head coach. I had done the assistant thing at Elmira and was ready for the next challenge. And what better way to grow the game and have an opportunity to do that for young women than bring hockey to Maryland? That was one of the reasons why I thought it would be a great opportunity for me, and also it helped me grow as a coach. I'd never been a head coach. I'd never started a program before, let alone in Maryland. To be able to, at the end of the day, have this on the resume and say that I did this is something that was very appealing to me when I applied.
Obviously a lot of assistant coach experience and having played as well. One program that you were with, Elmira, certainly in recent years, and we say that loosely, had started a program and had immediate success. You weren't granted there, but I'm sure you can tap into those experiences and other scenarios to set up, not only from a player's point of view, from a coach's point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously playing experience is huge and something that you can always look back on and bring towards coaching. But having that experience at Elmira with a top 10 program, you know what it takes to be successful. You know what you have to do day in and day out at practice. You know the expectations you have to have of the girls. And I definitely kind of tapped into that and brought a lot of those things here, and also, you know, used my assistant Joey Lai and her experiences at Williams, and we kind of combined both those things to try to create the best environment for a successful program.
Talk about Joey in a minute, but what was your first reaction when you got the call saying, we want you to be our first head coach for a first-year program? I'm sure there was that first reaction that might have been really good, or maybe, uh-oh, what did I just get myself into?
No, obviously it was excitement, sure. And then, you know, you start to think, and it's like, where do I start?
Right.
Yeah, I was definitely excited, and I was ready for the challenge, but I knew that it was going to be a long year of work ahead of me, and just kind of took the rest of that summer to kind of relax a little bit and enjoy the moment, and then really got to work when I got to Stevenson.
And certainly Stevenson didn't exactly build an ice rink, though they have a pretty good one nearby, so they at least had a plan in place in that sense. So what was your first priority when you walked in the door? Was it recruiting? Was it scheduling? What was that first priority when you walked into your office?
First thing, recruiting, without a doubt. You know, especially being in Maryland and girls hockey not being as strong in this area, it was something I knew that I had to get on right away. Especially because Stevenson wasn't out there in the hockey community. No one knew of Stevenson.
Right.
You had to educate people, and that doesn't happen overnight. So I knew that that recruiting was going to have to be the first thing that I got started on, and then obviously all the little things that, you know, no one thinks about, like finding the practice time that we can use every day, scheduling, making sure we have ice for games, ordering all the equipment, and then obviously we wanted our own locker room space up at the rink, so we kind of got started on that as well. So it was a combination of a lot of different things over the course of last year.
Of course, we're in that locker room space as we speak, and a pretty nice setup. Considering everything in place, recruiting, let's tackle that a little bit. It's not easy. I mean, Stevenson, first for Division III hockey, being this far, quote unquote, south, just below the famed Mason-Dixon line. What was the biggest challenge in recruiting? Was it the fact that you're a first-year program? Was it the fact that there's no tradition? Was it the fact that, literally, as you said, no one knew about Stevenson?
I think, yeah, the fact that no one knew about us was the toughest. It was a lot of work to not only just go out and see the players, because we had to travel a far distance to to the tournaments and to find the players. But then once we did find the players that we liked and we had tagged them, it was a lot of time on the phone and through emails trying to explain to them who we are, what we're about, what kind of experience you'll have on campus at Stevenson. And that takes a lot of man hours, lot of long nights in the office. But it was all worthwhile. We got a good group of girls and it all worked out, so we're happy.
And what's interesting about the roster is it's across the board in the sense of across the country. Not a lot of schools. I mean, if you look at the Oswego's and the Elmiras and the New England schools that you've played, certainly they're able to tap right out of their immediate areas, even into Canada, which is considered immediate for a lot of them, to grab that talent and bring them in.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, there isn't a ton of talent in Maryland, strictly because there isn't a lot of hockey. You really have to branch out.
Yeah, I knew right away I had to find a niche, and I had to find where we would be successful in recruiting. And so kind of came up with a plan that had to kind of tap into the market where finding players that would have to travel anyways, no matter where they went to college.
Sure.
So, for example, our Colorado players, there's no Division III or Division I schools that have hockey in the Colorado area. So really try to attack those markets and see if we could be successful there. Same with California. So we did find success that way, and that kind of boded well for us. At least we knew who we could target and what our best market was.
And this might seem strange, but does Baltimore almost help you, being that there's a major airport in the area that is certainly easy to get in and out of? And by the way, Philly and D.C. not that far away from them, so that the national recruits can feel like they can still get home relatively easily versus a school in upstate New York or somewhere that's not as easy accessible.
Absolutely. It doesn't hurt. It definitely helped us recruiting-wise when they had to come and come for their visit and come to campus. And it still doesn't hurt now. Families are can easily come and visit, and it's definitely a nice option to have.
Let's go to the scheduling. Being an independent school, which we'll talk about, first-year program, you get about a year's head start. I know some scheduling is 2-3 years in advance. What were the challenges, and did you also find some ease?
Definitely challenges. I think not being a part of a conference and not having a conference schedule to work around, obviously you have no home games. And that's a big challenge for us because of our location and traveling distances. So that was probably the biggest challenge for me, was finding home games and making sure we got games for our fans here and started to develop a fan base.
Right.
And other than that, being a part of the college coaching community for a few years, I knew a few people from my time at Elmira, and they were great to me and really were all for growing the game and wanted to put us on the schedule. So very grateful to those coaches that did that for us, and we hope that we gave them good competition in our first year.
Of course, they're great to put you on the schedule, but you had to go to them. You have a lot of travel. 8 games out of your 25 are at home. The rest means you're traveling on weekends or even semi-weekends, like up to Mass Boston for their annual event. That's a burden not only as a coach for logistical reasons, but that's a burden on your team as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, luckily they're young and we're all freshmen. They don't know any better, which is, it's kind of nice. As coaches, we obviously know better. It's getting to that time in the season. We're in the end of January, early February. We've been doing this for a couple months. Yeah, we get tired.
Sure.
But hey, it's a grind. We knew that going in. And, this is a time of year where you have to start to keep practices a little bit shorter, making sure we're keeping our legs, making sure the energy's still up for a shorter amount of time, and not overdoing it, because it's very easy to wear out. And these girls have never experienced college and being a part of a team before, and they wear out very easy. They room together, they get sick, it spreads.
Especially this year.
Yeah, it spreads fast, like an epidemic. So, we've been, as a coaching staff, trying to be aware of that and trying to cut down if we can.
And in a sense, you lose some practice time because you're having to leave on a Friday for a weekend term and getting back late on a Sunday night. You mentioned it's all freshmen as a team, obviously because it's a first-year program, and you'll bring in recruits will deepen your class in a sense. what's been the biggest challenge since you have all freshmen and you don't technically have what's called the senior leadership, the veteran experience?
Yeah, I think obviously the only thing we can't teach these girls is experience. And I think that has been the biggest challenge for us. We've been learning as we go. We don't have anyone to tell them what to expect or how things should work or
Right.
what we should do in this situation. As a coaching staff, we kind of end up being the disciplinarians,
Yeah.
the leaders, the people they can come talk to. So it's just trying to teach them about the process and how, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and
Right.
and making sure we're staying healthy and staying focused week to week on the opponents and not getting ahead of ourselves.
Is there any wrinkle to the thing, 25 games, but no conference tournament? You don't have an aiming point per se
Yeah.
that a lot of these teams have. Okay, we're aiming to try and position ourselves for a conference tournament or an NCAA berth. Being a first-year program, you're not going to be Elmira who goes and wins a
Yeah.
national championship. But in their first year, I should say. So what is the focus for this team? How do you keep them driving towards a goal?
Yeah, it is tough not having conference playoffs to look forward to. But we knew that going in as a coaching staff, and we
Right.
made sure that we got together as a team, we set goals. So the girls know exactly what we're shooting for this year. We've had every other team that started a program on our schedule this year, and we wanted to be the best of the new programs. And so that was something we were shooting for. The girls set goals in terms of from weekend to weekend, how many games we wanted to win in a weekend, how many games overall in the season. So there's little things that we continue to strive for, and we try to always remind them that we're a new program and we can set milestones, every day if we want. And that's another thing that we try to focus on as we move forward.
Coach, another thing about your background, D1 player, certainly national team experience with Canada, but you do a lot of assistant coaching in Division III. You've shifted to Division III. Obviously, there's huge differences between D1 and D3.
Yep.
In recruiting, there's no scholarships. We all know that story.
Yep.
But from your point of view, what has been the biggest shift for you to adjust to? And furthermore, what do you certainly enjoy about Division III since you stay in the ranks?
Yeah, I try to run this program not far off from Division I. Have the same expectations of them, hold them to a high standard, give them a lot of responsibility, because I think that's what they want. A lot of these girls, I'm sure they wish they could have played Division I and want to play at a high level. So I try to keep the program very similar. I think a big adjustment, obviously, is the preseason and postseason rules.
Yeah.
Not being able to be involved with them prior to that October 15th start date.
Sure.
No workouts, no
Yeah.
meetings. That's tough, especially with a team full of freshmen coming here for the first time.
And a short amount of time from the 15th to your
Yeah,
first game.
Exactly. Eight or nine practices we had to
Yeah.
get going. I would have loved to have been more involved and make sure that they were okay, not be homesick and
Sure.
and have more activities for them. But that's the nature of the beast here with Division III, and it's important. These girls, school is important to them.
Yeah.
Getting a degree is important, and I also think that is such a great thing about Division III. The central focus on the student as opposed to athlete first, and that's been kind of a nice adjustment from the Division I.
So we tap dance around the topic of scheduling and being in a non-conference scenario, being an independent. What are the future plans for the being in a conference? I'm sure there's efforts to be out there to get a conference, but what do you think is the future there, and what are those efforts, if you can say?
Well, we're always applying and trying to get into a league, but these sorts of things are out of our hands. As a coaching staff, I have no pull in this. As players, we have no pull in this. It's up to Brett Adams' help and the other ADs
Sure.
that have hockey at their school to really try to grow the game and let us in. So as of right now, we're just going with an independent schedule. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean we won't be in a league next year. We're just moving forward based on the information that we know.
You have to book the schedule.
Yeah.
You have to have it ready.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the team. Let's start with your assistant coach. Wealth of background. Like yourself, played in Canada.
Yep.
She then went to Williams, which is certainly a top-notch Division III hockey program and was interim coach at one time
Yep.
for their program after being in the assistant. She comes to Stevenson, also thanks in part she's a pretty good softball coach. How much of that experience helps you in the sense of having that kind of assistant on your staff?
Yeah, obviously Joey has, like you said, so much experience, and she's been a head coach before, which is also very nice. You know, I find we work well together because we are close to the same age, and we are open to communicating with each other with what works, what doesn't work, what would you do in this situation. And we're really good at piggybacking off each other's ideas. And, you know, she has a good wealth of experience with defensemen. She played defense for a majority of her career. I started as a forward and played a little D. So
Perfect.
yeah, we kind of have all the bases covered. So, you know, she's a great part of this program, and she puts a lot of work in, and I couldn't have done it without her.
I noticed on the sideline, you two are relatively quiet and stoic during games. Even tight games that you need a goal badly late, you're rather stoic. Is that your two coaching styles, that you kind of let the game flow and you don't get really riled up into it?
Yeah, you know, I have never been a screamer or yeller. But I think part of it also is our audience. You know, we have a group full of freshmen standing in front of us, and I've noticed that a lot of how we act is piggybacked by the girls. If we start to yell and scream and panic, then, you know, they start to feel anxious and don't play as well. And I just think it's, you know, it's not effective coaching. And so, you know, we try to be calm. If there's any screaming and yelling or any sort of criticism that we need to give the girls, we'll wait till the locker room. You know, it doesn't need to be aired out in front of everybody. And it just seems to work best with the group of girls that we have. Let's
talk about the team. Obviously, all freshmen, as we've mentioned. Playing pretty well. I mean, you're having a good season, relatively speaking. Is it what you expected? And after that, give us a little sense of who this team is.
Yeah, you know, I didn't really know what to expect going in. Again, never started a program.
Right.
Didn't know how good of a recruiter I would be to Baltimore. But very happy. First practice, I believe I looked over to Coach Lai and we're like, we can actually be pretty good this year. You know, it was exciting and proud of the girls so far. Like I said, can't teach experience. None of them have done this before. Didn't really know what to expect, and they've worked hard so far this year for those 5 wins that we've gotten, and you know, a tie in there as well. And yeah, we've had our ups and downs. Every team does, but I believe we're getting stronger and we're learning from it. I think this team is resilient. They're hardworking, and you know, they're having so much fun together, experiencing everything for the first time. And it's been a lot of fun to watch them experience it as a coach. You know, you almost go through your freshman year all over again with all 26 girls. So it's been a lot of fun. And, you know, like I said, very proud of the girls so far and looking forward to the last little bit of the season.
Give us a sense of the team, the strengths, who the top players that people would be. If you're new to Stevenson hockey, and most probably are, if you're watching a game, who should they be looking for?
Yeah, you know, we've had a wide variety of girls step up from game to game. You know, we have a lot of girls with goals and points and happy with the point production and how it's spread out. Mackenzie Taggart and Molly O'Neill are having great seasons, as well as Jessie Capinelli. That line, I find they have clicked together and they're doing well so far. Obviously, we have a pretty solid crew of defensemen. You know, Brooke Weber and Tori Emhoff. You know, they've had pretty good starts so far, and you know, our goalies, you know, they're fighting for that number 1 position.
I was going to say, you've rotated through your goalies a little bit this
year. Yeah, I think you know, all 3 of them have stepped up at different times, and I think Mackenzie Brook is really emerging right now and getting confident in games and has played well in her last 4 starts. So pretty solid all around. I'm happy with the depth in our lineup. And looking forward to the future.
One of the cool aspects of your team, you actually have a cousin who is on your team. Similar last name, makes it easy to spot. Obviously, that probably was a little bit easy in recruiting, but what's it like to be coaching a relative?
Yeah, you know, grew up very close to Carly. Families are very close, and knew she wanted to experience college hockey and wanted to give her that opportunity. And I think she's done a good job so far. I think she's enjoying it, the competitiveness of week to week, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to be able to coach her and help her to grow as a player and also as a person off the ice. So it's been nice to have a little bit of family here in Maryland, because obviously mine is pretty far away.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that piece of home here.
Your first year nearly under the belt, in the sense of the season's nearly complete for you. You'll end in mid-February because of no conference tournaments.
Yep.
Everybody else can't schedule you. But what are you already looking forward to for next year, whether it be for the team or anything? What are you already seeing down the road?
I think just the fact that they've had this year of experience. They come into practice. They've done systems before as a group together. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be as extensive those first couple weeks in terms of having to teach every single thing to them. Mm-hmm. They're going to know the coaching staff's expectations, so practices will be that much smoother right from the start.
Yeah.
And I think just hopefully, if we continue to recruit well, that we can continue to upgrade our roster and continue to slowly see those improvements and just get better every year.
I was going to say, how is the recruiting now look after you've got this year going?
You know what? It's hard for us as a coaching staff because we are so busy with the 26 we have and in our season,
Yeah.
and it's just Joey and I, and obviously we can't drive an hour to a rink and see the quality players we need. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, is just getting out and seeing the kids. But obviously we don't need as many either as last year.
You don't need a full roster.
Exactly. So. So far, so good. In talks with a few people and hoping, we can upgrade.
Very good. Well, this is Coach Vis joining us here, Stevenson women's ice hockey team for the first year program. Coach, tradition with me when I do things is I always give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning into this?
No, just for the Maryland viewers, would love to have you guys come out and support our team and see what women's hockey is all about. And for those of you that are following us from all over the place, we just want to thank you for the support. It hasn't been easy starting this up in Maryland, and I've gotten so many emails and phone calls about people that have been so supportive and saying what a great job we've been doing here. So just want to thank everyone for support and look forward to continuing to grow this program.
Once again, thanks to Coach Vis, first-year head coach at first-year program Stevenson Ice Hockey. For Coach Vis, I'm Dave McHugh for D3Hockey.com.